The Caribbean gets a public apology from British Prime Minister Theresa May. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, April 17. From the CMC News Centre in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Britain Prime Minister Theresa May has publicly apologized to Caribbean countries for anxiety caused by the UK's announcement of policy changes that appeared to be clamping down on unregularized citizens from what is known as the Windrush generation. And in a meeting with CARICOM leaders to discuss the situation of the undocumented Caribbean immigrants who came to the UK before 1971, May said her government was not clamping down on migrants from the Caribbean.
And I want to dispel any impression that my government is in some sense clamping down on Commonwealth citizens, particularly those in the Caribbean who built a life here. I take this issue very seriously. The Home Secretary apologised to the House of Commons yesterday for any anxiety caused, and I want to apologise to you today because we are genuinely sorry for any anxiety that has been caused.
May said that the current controversy arose from the introduction of new rules designed to ensure only legal citizens have access to welfare and national health service systems. Under the 1971 Immigration Act, all Commonwealth citizens already living in the UK were given that's indefinite leave to remain, but the Home Office did not keep a record of those granted leave to remain or issue any paperwork confirming it, making it difficult for the individuals who now prove that they are in the UK legally. But May said she and Home Secretary Amber Rudd will do all in their power to assist those who need to find documentation to prove their immigration status.
The overwhelming majority of the Windrush generation do have the documents that they need, but we're working hard to help those who do not. And we've put in place a number of measures to deal with that, which the Home Secretary announced yesterday. She's going to set up a new dedicated team, a helpline, to help people evidence their right to be in this country and access services. It will be tasked, the job of this team will be to help these applicants demonstrate that they're entitled to live in the UK, and it will be tasked with resolving cases within 2 weeks.
May said her message to the team to set up by the Office of the Home Secretary is to act as swiftly as possible to reassure people about their position in the UK. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness of Jamaica and Dr. Timothy Harris of St. Kitts and Nevis have praised the response of the UK government in an attempt to respond to the Windrush matter. Speaking to UK media at number 10 Dowling Street following a meeting of CARICOM leaders with May, Prime Minister Holness said he wants a speedy response to the situation, indicating that those people being threatened with deportation had significantly contributed to the building and enrichment of the country. However, he was satisfied that UK Prime Minister's apology was genuine and could be taken at face value.
We had a very good meeting, straightforward, candid discussion. I sense that there is a genuine recognition that a wrong that happened, unintentional. We formed the view. We accept the Prime Minister's apology, and I believe that the right thing is being done at this time.
Dr. Timothy Harris of St. Kitts Nevis echoed the sentiments of his Jamaican counterpart, adding that the Caribbean's High Commissioners in London would work with the British government to ensure the sharing of information.
What we can do is to take the Prime Minister's word, to have our High Commissioners here in London work with the government to ensure that information is being shared and that the words of the government certainly would be matched with quick action.
Britain is reported to have written to each of the governments involved, setting out how it intends to rectify the situation, notably by helping anyone affected to find the necessary paperwork to regularize their immigration status. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group, the ACP, must be committed to a process of reinventing and repositioning itself as a modern, fit-for-purpose intergovernmental organization in a changing global environment. Addressing ambassadors from the 79-member grouping in Brussels on Monday, Holness said Jamaica stands ready to support a process of making operational and aspirations for the revitalized ACP, as outlined in the policy document titled Towards the ACP We Want.
If the reform process is to be successful, it must be pursued in an atmosphere of transparency and trust, where both pragmatism and compromise can prevail, and where our collective efforts can give rise to an effectively reformed ACP group of which we can all be justly proud. Undoubtedly, a transformed ACP group will be better able to empower the more than 1 billion people that it represents across the region.
The ACP group is preparing for negotiations with the European Union for a new agreement to the Cotonou Agreement that expires in 2020. Holness said the successor accord will be critical to the effective pursuit of sustainable development by all member countries.
Our effort to address our common challenges will have the best prospects of success if mounted from a united front. Together, we can engage third parties in meaningful dialogue aimed at changing, among other things, the criteria for development support, as well as for establishing international standards for growth, which have continued to impede our development process.
Lawyers in Dominica marched through the streets of the capital on Tuesday to present a letter to Justice Minister Rayburn Blackmore after complaining about the conditions of the court buildings. The buildings were damaged last September when the Category 5 Hurricane Maria battered the island. President of the Dominica Bar Association, Mary Roberts, said the association is not satisfied that enough is being done to return the courts to an acceptable standard of operation.
The letter is basically addressing the situation at the courts, our high courts, the magistrates' courts. We are not satisfied as legal practitioners that enough has been done to bring the courts up to operation after Hurricane Maria, to the satisfaction of the lawyers, for the judge, for members of the public who attend at the registry. We think that much better should be done, and we think that we had to make this statement this morning to deliver the letter to the Minister of Justice. He may not be aware of the situation.
She said she hopes after the delivery of the letter, Justice Minister Blackmore will become more aware of the situation and that there can be discussions amid that's aimed at timely work to improve the conditions.
We, as an association, are concerned about the current status of the registry. As it is, it's not air-conditioned, the vault is not air-conditioned, and the general area where members of the staff sit is not air-conditioned. We frequent there. Our members of our staff, the judge's chambers is not up to standard, and we know that she can't speak for herself, so we are here to represent all these concerns.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown is apologizing to the Rastafarian community for the wrongs committed against them, and he issued a statement recognizing the end of the prohibition of cannabis in acknowledgement of the celebration of the International Day of Cannabis, commonly referred to as 420, Brown says the prohibition of cannabis less than 100 years ago was prompted not by an altruistic motive or concern for the health or well-being of users, but to serve the racist, political and economic interests of the then global powers. Brown is the first sitting Caribbean head of government who has acknowledged the wrongs against Rastafarians in the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda. His government recently announced plans to allow for the use of marijuana for medical purposes. Stay with us. More news after the break.
Island, just beyond the horizon, waiting for you to explore its deep treasures. Experience this and more at the Barbados Reggae Festival. 4 of the biggest reggae events, April 22nd to 29th, featuring the superstars of reggae, Maxi Priest, JC Lodge, Everton Blender, Johnny Osborne,
No ice cream sound,
Queen Ifrica, Ja Cure,
anytime you need a lover, call on me.
Anthony B, Taurus Riley,
But anytime you decide if you pack up your things and leave, don't come back.
Idonia,
Yeah.
and many more. Purchase your event tickets from ticketlinks.com. For more details, follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook or Instagram. Barbados, always on.
Well, the stock market had experienced jitters the last couple of weeks. Traders had concerns over a possible trade war escalating between the world's 2 biggest economies, the U.S. and China. The United States exports about $10 billion in goods to China per month, but imports about $45 billion, a significant trade imbalance. During the 2016 campaign, then-candidate Trump promised to address the trade imbalance with China and bring down the huge discrepancy.
An earthquake with a magnitude of 4.4 rocked several parts of Antigua on Tuesday, causing widespread panic. The earthquake was strong enough to cause damage to vulnerable structures, according to the National Office of Disaster Services. Information from the UWI Seismic Research Center in Trinidad says the quake was located latitude 16.947 north and longitude 61.819 west at a depth of 21.43 kilometers. Reports are that the quake was felt in countries like Montserrat and St. Kitts. NODS is making it clear that the twin island is not under a tsunami warning. One resident in Antigua told reporters that items on his wall fell to the ground, and another said the quake was the most intense he felt in many years. Many people took to Facebook expressing their fears about the quake. Students at Antigua State College Golden Grove campus spoke to CMC News about their experience from the quake.
It was scary. It was scary. Like
yes.
Everybody was
yeah.
shook. Yes.
And we actually heard the roof
yes.
shaking.
It was
I thought
shaking.
the roof
So
shaking.
I
It was
thought,
like, and then like, my teacher was like, okay, like after
I thought the earth was going to open up.
Yes. Yes, after the second
I thought the building was going to
Yes, we all did.
Yes.
We all did.
It was shaking so hard, the roof was rattling. I was scared.
We were
scared.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Education officials in Haiti say they have begun the process of regularizing teachers who have returned to their classrooms after a 2-month strike. Teachers at the Fundamental School of Application and Teaching Support were back on the job yesterday after staging a strike to demand regularization of their status, payment of outstanding salaries, and better working conditions. Jackson Plateau, of the director in the Ministry of Education, confirmed that the process, which had been promised several weeks ago, had started, and letters of appointment to teachers as well as dealing with their irregular status were being that they were being formalized. He said on the instructions of Education Minister Pierre Cadet, the first batch of 500 letters of appointment had been sent to several high school principals and that the operation would continue through all the departmental directorates of education. The principals and others who were present when Plateau made the announcement welcomed the move by the authorities to regularize the teachers. There had been concern about teachers having letters of appointment but not yet receiving their salary, while there were others who were working but had no letter of appointment. The first round of World Trade Organization accession talks began in the Bahamas ahead of the country seeking full membership next year. There are both opportunities and challenges to the Bahamas becoming a member of the organization. And according to Financial Services Minister Brent Simone, these include developing a new fiscal regime that makes the Bahamas less dependent on customs duties. We get more in this ZNS Network News report.
Stakeholders from various sectors of the country are having their say at consultation meetings as efforts continue for the Bahamas to become a member of the World Trade Organization in December of next year. Their input on what will encourage the growth and development of the economy will assist the Bahamas when it begins negotiations. Minister of Financial Services, Trade and Industry, the Honorable Brent Simone, touted the benefits of membership in the WTO.
Successful participation in the WTO will accelerate growth and development of our economy through increased strategic, domestic and international capital formation, improve global competitiveness so we apply ourselves to global standards of trade and pursue international partnerships that will increase work and investment. We reckon they'll provide better trade opportunities by seizing the protections and the safeguards and rules of the rules-based system. And we believe also that by improving Bahamian products and services access to global markets through competitive, progressive bilateral agreements.
Now, there are expected to be some challenges once the Bahamas ascends to the WTO, and that includes the creation of a new financial regime.
Some countries have higher VAT ratios than we do, so that we'll have to look at the whole question. If we're not allowed to do customs duties, what will replace it? And that is probably one of the better regimes. Out of this session this morning, that one of the biggest concerns they will have is the cost of electricity. That'll be the cost of doing business. That's going to be an issue that the government's going to have to look at.
The Financial Services Minister also addressed a number of ongoing concerns surrounding the country's membership in WTO.
This will not include a free movement of labor, in which people from anywhere in the world will have unfettered access to the Bahamas. It will not allow unfettered access of companies like Walmart to the Bahamas. The Bahamas will ultimately maintain its ability to determine its economic and monetary policy.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Theodore Whitmore withdraws his resignation as head coach of the Reggae Boys. Stay with us. Sport is next.
His 14-city U.S. tour, dubbed Strongest Soldier Tour, Jamil is off to Gambia. After 3 weeks in the U.S. visiting cities such as Kansas, Minnesota, San Diego, Oakland, Los Angeles, and Arizona, Jamil gained a new set of fans. With only 3 years since his breakthrough hit single, Gain the World, Jamil has been able to carve a path for himself, which has him as one of the most sought-after artists out of Jamaica.
FAS Promotions in association with Hot 95.3 FM present the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, Farley Hill National Park, Sunday, April 29. Gates open at 11 a.m. Featuring Everton Blender, Queen Ifrica, Jacure, Taris Riley,
But anytime you decide to pack up your things and leave, don't come back.
Maxi Priest, Anthony B, Plus, Right Side A-Red, Tabitha, King Slim, Triple X, Easy B, Khalid, Superstar, Danny, Project X-Men, MCs, Peter Coffin, Jamar the Stars. Get your tickets from the official box offices or ticketlinks.com. The Digicel Reggae on the Hill, Farley Hill National Park, Sunday, April 29.
Intervention by Sports Minister Olivia Grange has resulted in Theodore Whitmore withdrawing his resignation and returning as head coach of the Reggae Boys. The former Jamaica international quit last week in a contract row with the Jamaica Football Federation, contending he had been treated with great disrespect and total disregard by the local governing body. But the dispute was resolved following a meeting at Grange's office, which involved officials of the JFF, Ministry of Sports, and Whitmore himself. JFF President Michael Ricketts said the resolution had been in the interest of the sport.
The long drawn-out saga over coach Theodore Tapper Whitmore's contract is over after Whitmore, JFF President Michael Ricketts, and the Minister of Sports Olivia Grange met to discuss the way forward on Friday. At the end, Coach Whitmore says he's pleased with what took place and is ready to move forward.
Recently I've tendered my resignation, and I must tell the public that I'm here to withdraw it based on what transpired from today's meeting, and looking forward to get back to do what I love, and that is coaching, and to make sure that the nation football is priority, and we move forward with myself and the federation and the ministry to make it a success.
With all now settled, Ricketts believes it's time to move on.
Virtually, amicably, would have settled whatever issues there are. I think we're ready to move on in the interest of football and certainly in the interest of developing the sport nationally. It was important that we met this afternoon.
As for the mediator, Minister Grange, today's closure should see a better relationship between the coach and the JFF going forward.
We discussed the contract, and all parties have agreed, have come to an agreement. I do not wish to provide details, and I think those details should remain confidential, because I think someone's salary is a matter that is very personal, and I think that was part of the issue where all of this was in the public domain. And so I just want to say that today I think we have made great strides in seeing the improvement of a relationship that seemed to have been broken between the coach and the federation.
According to Grange, the meeting was the first in a series to come.
We will be convening another meeting that will look at the bigger picture. And looking at the bigger picture will ensure that our partnership will be strengthened. And not only government and the JFF, but also government, the JFF, and the private sector. So I'm looking forward to having discussions with the private sector to see how they can come on board to help the program to improve and to provide the funding.
No figure was disclosed for the new contract, but earlier this week, Ricketts told TVJ Sports that there would be a 50% increase, which should take Whitmore's salary from $500,000 Jamaican dollars to $750,000 per month.
Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football squad will take on Panama in an international friendly on Tuesday evening at the Otto Boldon Stadium. And assistant coach Stuart Vivera says his charges will not be taking the Panamanians for granted, as they have secured their place in the FIFA World Cup. Fever feels TNT is up for the challenge.
We have been quite satisfied with the amount of work we have done over the last 2 to 3 weeks, because this work started prior to the games against Guadeloupe and Martinique and continued since then. And I must say that the players have been working hard. Everybody have been attending training sessions, and I feel as a staff we're quite pleased with the effort from the guys. It wasn't quite the 2 thumbs up, but national team assistant coach Stuart Charles Fravier believes the team is headed in the right direction, and the Panama friendly comes at an opportune time for all concerned, especially the players and the coaches. The team have been doing well in terms of the improvement of the results since the USA game. The team haven't lost since then, and we're looking forward to the
Panama game, we have a squad of predominantly locally based players, and we're happy for the opportunity to give them a chance at that level, you know. And we're expecting good things from them in the game.
The ability to score goals remains one of the areas of concern in the team, but Stewarty believes that work is being done and that we should be reaping those results in due course.
Goal scoring will always be the most difficult thing in football because it's the most important. We're constantly working on goal scoring. Every day, Stern in particular, go through the paces with the guys at least half an hour every session, you know, after every session. He takes the time out to really work with them. And I believe that sooner or later we'll see the dividends, that will pay in dividends, you know. I'm confident that the players will rise to the occasion and improve in that area in the coming games.
And what about Tuesday night's opponents, Panama? Charles believes it will be a tough assignment, but is quietly confident in the young squad's ability to tough out a result.
Yeah, well, at that level, you know, is more or less professional players, you know. No matter who they play, will be a good team. And as I said, we're looking forward to the game. It's a game where we could assess our locally based players in particular. And we feel confident that our players could give a good performance and get a positive result.
Tuesday's kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. at the Addo Stadium, and the game also presents a chance for several new faces in the squad to finally make their international debuts in front of their home fans and relatives.
Over to cricket now. West Indies will be at full strength for next month's Hurricane Relief T20 International against a rest of the world 11 in London. Captain Carlos Brathwaite, along with the likes of superstar Chris Gayle, Andre Russell and Evan Lewis, were on Tuesday named in a 13-man squad for the May 31 contest at historic Lords. The high-profile quartet missed the 3-match series in Pakistan earlier this month, with selectors forced to send a depleted unit. Still missing, however, are the Trinidadian pair of Sunil Narayan and Kieran Pollard, who are currently campaigning in the Indian Premier League. Both pulled out of the New Zealand series last December, citing personal reasons, and also did not tour Pakistan recently. Veteran Marlon Samuels, the only senior player on tour of Pakistan, is again retained in the squad. Fast bowler Odin Smith, who made his debut in the recent series, has kept his place despite a couple of ordinary performances. But Jason Mohammed, who led the squad in Karachi in Brathwaite's absence, has been dropped along with Andre McCarthy, Chadwick Walton and Veerasamy Permaul. The Windies will take on a rest of the world 11 led by England white ball skipper Ian Morgan, with funds going towards helping to rebuild stadia in the Caribbean damaged by the passage of deadly hurricanes Irma and Maria last September. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Grab your summer clothes and let's go to an island like no other. FAS Promotions, in association with Slam 101.1 FM, present the Magnum Tonic Wine Reggae Beach Party, Sunday, April 22nd, Pirates Cove. Doors open at 4 p.m. Featuring world champion DJ Puffy, Shensia, Ding Dong, Idonia, plus Porgy and Murda, Stiffy, Lady Essence, Skrilla, Jagwita Chab, and Kaz Caddy. MC's infamous The Voice in Vain. Get your tickets from the official box offices or ticketlinks.com. The Magnum Tonic Wine Reggae Beach Party, Sunday, April 22nd, Pirates Cove. For more information, stay connected or follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook and Instagram.
Again, the major developments of this day, Britain Prime Minister Theresa May publicly apologizes to Caribbean countries for policy changes that appeared to be clamping down on unregularized citizens from the Windrush generation, and she has promised to ensure the situation is remedied. And in sport, Theodore Whitmore withdrawing his resignation and returning to the Reggae Boys following intervention from Sports Minister Olivia Grange. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow, and have yourselves a good night.